Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're diving into something big, a major upgrade to the digital fortress that protects India's entire financial market. We're talking about a whole new cyber shield. And really, it all comes down to this one question. It's the exact question that the Securities and Exchange Board of India, SEBI, is trying to answer. Because let's be honest, it's not a matter of if a major attack will happen, but when, and how ready the whole system will be to fight back. Okay, so here's our game plan. We're going to look at the rising threat, then unpack this new cyber shield SEBI's put in place. We'll see how it's tailored for different players, dig into the key changes, and wrap up with the all-important deadlines. So first up, let's talk about the why. Why the big change right now? To really get why this new framework is such a game changer, you have to see the cracks that were starting to appear in the old system. If you look back, SEBI's approach to cybersecurity was kind of built piece by piece. It started back in 2015 with rules for the biggest players, and over the next few years, they kept adding separate rules for brokers, then mutual funds, and so on. The problem? Well, you ended up with this messy patchwork of different regulations, and that's a huge weak spot when cyber threats are getting more and more sophisticated. Right, so SEBI basically looked at this situation and realized that this fragmented approach just wasn't going to cut it anymore. They knew they had to move away from a bunch of individual shields and create one single unified and way stronger shield for the entire market. And that realization brings us right to their solution, this powerful new thing called the Cybersecurity and Cyber Resilience Framework, or for short, the CSCRF. The best way to think about the CSCRF is as the new master plan for the whole market. It completely scraps that old patchwork of rules. The goal is to get every single player, from the giant stock exchanges all the way down to tiny investment advisors, on the exact same page, reading from the same security playbook. And this whole framework isn't just about building a higher wall. It's about being resilient. It's built on these 5 key goals. So you're not just trying to stop an attack. You're prepared to withstand it, contain the damage, recover fast, and, this is the most important part, evolve your defenses so you're ready for the next new threat. But okay, let's be practical. SEBI gets that the security firepower a massive stock exchange needs is totally different from what a small 2-person advisory firm can handle. A one-size-fits-all rule would just be impossible. So how do you do it? How do you set a high bar for security without crushing the little guys? Well, the answer is this really smart graded approach. It recognizes that not everyone carries the same amount of risk or has the same capabilities. The system is pretty clever. It sorts everyone into one of 5 tiers. At the very top, you've got the giant market infrastructure institutions. They face the toughest rules. And then it scales all the way down to the very smallest firms, which can just self-certify their compliance. It's a proportional system that puts the pressure where it's needed most, but keeps things manageable for everyone else. Okay, now let's get into what I think are 2 of the biggest, most concrete changes in this whole framework. This is where we go from policies on paper to actual, real-time security. The first game changer is the Mandatory Security Operations Center, or SOC. Think of this as a 24/7 high-tech command center for cybersecurity. It's constantly monitoring for threats. And now, every single regulated company has to have this kind of monitoring in place. No exceptions. But look, a private SOC can be crazy expensive. So to make sure smaller firms aren't left behind, the framework orders the big exchanges to create a shared market SOC. This is huge. It makes top-tier, professional-grade security accessible and affordable for pretty much everyone. And the other major tool, this one's for the big fish, is the Cyber Capability Index. You can literally think of it as a regular report card for their cyber health. It's a scoring system that forces them to constantly measure their defenses and actually prove they're getting better and stronger over time. All right, so the all-important question on everyone's mind, when does all of this actually have to be in place? What's the deadline? Now, this is where the story took a little turn. The original timeline was, let's just say, pretty aggressive, with deadlines coming up fast in early 2025. But after getting a lot of feedback from the industry, SEBI made a pretty practical adjustment. And that adjustment was a 3-month extension. It was granted to make sure the transition goes smoothly and to give firms the time they need to get these really complex systems up and running. So for most folks, the new drop-dead date is June 30th, 2025. But
And this is a really big but. That extension does not apply to everyone. The absolute cornerstones of the market, the big MIIs like the stock exchanges, plus the KYC agencies and qualified registrars, they don't get a break. They still have to meet that original, much more aggressive timeline. It just shows how critical their security is to the whole system.
So, what's the bottom line here? Look, this isn't just another rule change. It's a fundamental overhaul of the security for India's entire market. The CSCRF is SEBI's way of being proactive, of building one strong, smart, and adaptable shield for absolutely everyone. It is a massive, and frankly, a necessary step forward. But it does leave us with one final thought, doesn't it? The best part of this framework is that it's designed to evolve. And that's a good thing, because in the world of cybersecurity, the race between the good guys and the bad guys, well, that race never, ever stops.